In a world that often moves too fast and seems almost eager to forget the very icons who once gave it depth, comfort, and spiritual meaning, we pause tonight to slow the rush and honor a hero who never forgot us, Bill Gaither. His voice, his immense heart, and his enduring legacy didn't just shape music, they forged faith itself. So when Bill Gaither finally made the abrupt and agonizing choice to vanish from the stage, it felt like far more than a famous musician's farewell. It was as if a great curtain had torn straight down the middle, marking the instant and quietly devastating end of an era in gospel history. And the silence that followed didn't feel peaceful or gentle. It was a deep, aching void that left an entire community reeling, stunned, and suddenly set adrift. For decades, Bill had been the unshakable compass. His soothing voice anchored millions during both their brightest celebrations and their darkest despair. He was never simply a singer. He was a living bridge, connecting generations, merging faith with melody, and weaving together happiness and sorrow with every lyric and every night spent in tireless ministry. His sudden departure didn't just disappoint people. It shattered a community that had grown unconsciously dependent on his steady, rock-solid presence, never imagining a day when he wouldn't be standing at the very center of it all. And yet, even after the spotlight dimmed and the stage went dark, the melody he created refused to die. Every soaring note, every fragile heart he touched, and every flicker of hope he ever ignited still carries his raw and essential essence. Because of that immeasurable impact, we cannot help but say, from the deepest part of our being, thank you, Bill. When the official announcement of his retreat finally arrived, it stunned everyone with its brevity. A short, almost painfully simple statement confirmed the crippling fear so many had quietly carried but desperately hoped was untrue. Bill Gaither was leaving. He didn't fade away over time. He slipped out of the bright glare of fame without a single trumpet fanfare, without a lengthy explanation, and certainly without the dramatic farewell many expected. Still, the magnitude of this quiet exit was thunderous. His absence instantly became a heavy weight felt by lifelong friends, millions of faithful listeners, and fellow artists who had always viewed him as a constant and unblinking guiding star. And in a world where noise often drowns out sincerity, the silence he chose spoke louder than any stadium performance ever could. It forced everyone to confront just how significant his presence had always been, not just as an entertainer, but as a pillar of stability, strength, and enduring hope. What followed was a wave of emotion that was raw, tear-soaked, and deeply human. Artists who had stood shoulder to shoulder with him on the grandest stages found themselves choking back tears as they remembered the wisdom he offered, not through flashy sermons but through the integrity of his life. Gospel legends like Vestal Goodman and George Young, foundational figures whom Bill had supported and celebrated, were reminders of the long line of heroes he now joined in a quieter form of retirement. Their absence had already been felt, but Bill's departure was seismic, shaking the very foundations of the genre he helped define. The community hadn't lost just a performer. They had lost the central figure who, for decades, hosted what was essentially the world's biggest family reunion. The Gaither homecoming videos, which captured generations of artists singing together in spontaneous joy and heartfelt fellowship, weren't merely commercial successes. They were living proof of the unity Bill created. Now, these videos took on a bittersweet new meaning, a reminder of a time when the patriarch himself was still present, gently orchestrating the beautiful chaos of collaboration and faith. Fans poured out their most intimate stories, recounting moments when songs like Because He Lives or He Touched Me became their source of healing during heartbreak, or their beacon of courage in the darkest nights. They recalled the warmth of the camera lights, the unscripted moments of joy and connection captured in the Homecoming series, a collection that transcended simple music compilation and became a weekly devotional in households around the world. For many people, a Gaither concert wasn't just an evening of entertainment. It was a spiritual refueling station where worries lifted and faith strengthened through the power of collective song. Bill wasn't seen as a distant celebrity. He felt like a trusted friend, a kind uncle who always knew the perfect song for the moment. From every single tribute, one undeniable truth rose to the surface. Bill Gaither created far more than music. He gave people memories, healing, and spiritual bonds so deep they will outlast every note. The Gaither vocal band, the artists he mentored, and the very structure of Southern gospel all carry his unmistakable fingerprints. He built an empire of ministry, not for profit, but out of a sincere desire to unite believers and even those who barely believed under the banner of hope. His influence was so vast that his withdrawal felt like the sudden retirement of the CEO of Hope itself. His ability to identify and cultivate talent was almost uncanny. He elevated artists like Mark Lowry and David Phelps to global recognition. But his vision stretched far beyond performance. It was about stewardship and preserving the future of gospel music through new, powerful voices. This relentless giving of himself is what made his stepping down so acutely painful. As the world searched for answers behind his sudden exit, a quieter truth began to surface. Maybe answers didn't matter. Perhaps his decision was a plea led by his physical health, the needs of his family, or a deep and weary longing for rest after decades of selfless service. Maybe it was all of these pressures combined. The endless touring, studio sessions, meet and greets, and the constant emotional responsibility of ministry eventually extract a price. Though no confirmed illness was reported, those who truly understood the weight of his calling knew that the exhaustion from more than 50 years of non-stop work was explanation enough. This wasn't a pampered celebrity lifestyle. It was a vocation, a life that required sacrifice, time away from his beloved Gloria and their children, and a relentless commitment to serving others. The brevity of the announcement felt intentional, a final boundary drawn to protect the private corner of a life he had shared so generously with the world. It was his way of saying, "The work was for you, but the ending is for me and my family." And within that decision rested a powerful lesson. Even the strongest, most inspiring figures must eventually step back when life calls for change. The realization that even a man of Bill Gaither's spiritual stamina was human, was finite, shook the community and reminded everyone that even a life built around the eternal is still lived under earthly limits. Looking back at his career, awe is unavoidable. From humble beginnings as a high school English teacher in Indiana, Bill Gaither rose to become one of the most recognized icons in gospel music. Yet he carried that success with humility and grace. The spotlight and accolades were never his goal. His mission was always to elevate spirits, strengthen faith, and bring people together through the transformative power of melody. And he succeeded beyond measure. With over 700 songs to his name and a partnership with his wife Gloria that produced some of the most timeless hymns in Christian music, his legacy is secure for generations. A musical foundation that defines the genre has always been at the very core of his influence, and their collaboration was nothing short of legendary. What they created together became a spiritual and creative union that produced hymns that transcended denominations, becoming equally at home in small country churches and massive city cathedrals. Over time, the sheer longevity and remarkable quality of their work established a creative benchmark that few others have ever approached. His music wove itself inextricably into the fabric of countless lives, becoming the essential soundtrack of every Sunday service, every wedding, every funeral, and every quiet private prayer. His songs accompanied people through every brutal stage of life. There is hardly a significant life event in the Christian world that hasn't been scored by a Gaither melody. This depth of integration into the personal and communal rituals of faith is what made the news of his retirement feel like a profound break in the familiar rhythm of life. When the announcement came, the question hung in the air. What now? Who would write the next generation's anthems of endurance? Who would be the steady, smiling hand guiding the collective spiritual journey? But beneath that strong, unwavering public image lived a man who was privately carrying his own burdens, facing his own profound weariness, and bearing the heavy, unrelenting responsibility of being a perpetual source of encouragement. The expectations placed upon a man who was constantly the source of spiritual strength for millions must have been immense. The pressure to always be on, always be smiling, always have the right hopeful answer surely weighed heavy on his heart and soul. He was the perpetual host, the constant curator of an emotionally demanding ministry that rarely allowed him the simple luxury of being just Bill. In this new crucial light, his decision to finally step away was not a betrayal of weakness, but an act of profound, soaring strength. After all, it requires immense, terrifying courage to finally know when to say goodbye, especially when the entire world is simply not ready to let you go. This departure was his final powerful testimony, a testament to the essential need for rest and surrender, even for the most faithful among us. It was an act of self-care disguised as retirement, a final lesson in recognizing one's own human limits. The days following the announcement were filled with a melancholic mixture of sorrow and celebration. Tributes poured in from every corner of the music industry, not just Christian artists, but mainstream legends who respected the Gaither's artistic integrity and enduring success. Broadcasts were dedicated to playing marathons of his music, turning quiet evenings into unexpected community vigils. The internet became flooded with personal anecdotes, each one affirming the deep, quiet ways Bill had personally impacted individual lives, often without even knowing it. One common theme emerged: his consistent encouragement of young talent, his willingness to share the stage, and his genuine, unassuming kindness off camera. After his private decision was made public, a short, incredibly moving farewell message followed. In it, Bill reminded absolutely everyone of what gospel music truly stood for. It was never ever about one man alone. It was a collective voice, a choir of hope, a shared testimony. He emphasized that the music, the divine message, and the unshakable faith would continue to flow like an unstoppable river through anyone willing to pick up the melody and heroically carry it forward. He was not asking for mourning. He was demanding action. He was passing the mantle, not laying it down for good. His final words were more than a farewell statement. They were a blessing, a symbolic passing of the torch, and a fiery encouragement for the entire community to keep believing, keep hoping, and above all, keep loving. This was the ultimate Gaither wisdom, the importance of community and the continuity of the sacred message. Today, the gospel music world feels undeniably different. Without Bill Gaither physically at the forefront, there is a gaping hole. Yet it is not diminished. It continues to thrive, nourished by the seeds of greatness he planted. His colossal influence echoes in the passionate voices of young musicians just finding their footing, in the timeless soaring hymns that continue to deeply inspire, and in the countless lives he irrevocably touched with his unwavering message of truth and beauty. The Gaither Music Company continues to release new material, videos, and concerts, ensuring the legacy he built is preserved and expanded by the next generation he painstakingly cultivated. The homecoming brand, now steered by others, remains a vibrant force, a direct testament to the solid foundation Bill laid, a foundation built on people, not just prophets or performers. While his sudden departure brought immediate sadness, it also sparked a deep abiding sense of gratitude. For even a brief, shining time, the world was blessed with someone as rare and powerful as Bill Gaither. His life proves beyond a shadow of a doubt that true greatness is not about being unique, but about leaving behind an impact so strong that it can never be erased. Bill's music, his vibrant energy, and his teachings live on not just in dusty recordings, but in the cherished, guarded hearts of those who ever found solace in his familiar voice. His legacy endures because of the many voices he personally inspired, the countless lives he powerfully uplifted, and the defiant hope he spread with every single note. Ultimately, this is more than a simple story of loss or public shock. It is a blazing testament to a life lived with unwavering integrity, selfless generosity, and unshakable faith. True legends are those who deliberately leave the world better than they found it, not by frantically seeking public recognition, but by freely offering their love, their kindness, and their tireless inspiration in absolutely everything they touch. Even after quietly leaving the stage, Bill Gaither's story continues to echo. Every joyful, hopeful note, every life touched by the faith he championed, and every heart lifted with courage, these are the real carriers of his legacy. That is the only reason why he will never truly be gone. For decades, he was the steady, calm anchor at the very heart of the entire gospel community, a man who brought fractured people together through the sheer, irresistible force of faith and song. His music was not merely art, it was healing, profound hope, and instant unity. Year after year, no matter how many bold new voices emerged, Bill remained the comforting center, the smiling familiar presence who seemed completely unstoppable. His legendary energy filled packed churches, massive festivals, and small community gatherings, creating an unshakable sense of reassurance that he would simply always be there. And then, like a sudden, unexpected storm breaking through a perfectly clear day, came the searing revelation. Bill Gaither's official team issued a statement that was both succinctly written and devastatingly powerful, announcing flatly that he would no longer continue with public appearances, concerts, or any events. No further details were offered at the time, and none in that immediate moment were truly needed. The message alone was enough to instantly change everything. Although there were so few words in the official announcement, those few carried a monumental weight far heavier than most could have possibly imagined. Fans stared at their glowing screens, rereading the cold message over and over again, their hearts desperately praying they had somehow misunderstood. Yet the truth remained. The few sentences felt like a punch to the gut of 1,000 congregations. It was a clear, unambiguous end to an era. Their spirits sank, their belief system crumbling when they realized the horrible truth. What they were reading was absolutely, terrifyingly accurate, not a cruel mistake. Shock spread like a dark wildfire. The gospel community, long anchored by Bill Gaither's very presence, was suspended in disbelief, completely unable to process such an abrupt and life-altering shift. The legend was gone,